Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience. We discuss ways how we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Bator, your host for Branding the Experience, and our subject today, branding post-pandemic. Now, this is coming out where things are still a little nebulous, but I still have a ton of hope and a ton of great expectations for all of our service-based businesses out there. Some of them that got hit really, really hard, obviously our restaurants, our gyms, fitness centers, spas, hotels, and so forth. And some that didn't get quite hit as hard or hit quite as hard, I should probably say. Won't even edit that out because sometimes I make mistakes and, they just need to be out there. But some service-based businesses that didn't get hit as hard, but very well may in the coming months, are banks, credit unions, financial institutions. Many of them that I've talked to have actually done pretty well, but are also bracing for what may happen as a cause and effect from the shutdowns that we had. And just simply want to remind you that as we get into some type of post-pandemic normalcy, I certainly don't expect it to be how it was in 2019 or 2015. Much like with the Great Recession, things didn't quite go back to exactly the way they were in 2007, 2008, when things got back to the so-called normal. I actually believe that maybe we should take the word normal out of our whole vocabulary, because what we think of as normal, can change in as quickly as 3 months or so forth, or even less for that matter. But I want to point out that the beginning of my book, the formula for business success equals B+C+S, those first two chapters are extremely relevant in that we talk about the organization drivers of any business. And while certainly there's some things that may need to change chapter 3 and on, and I'm working on that in terms of how some of those principles need to be applied in a post-pandemic world, if you will. But those first two chapters on organization drivers, the history, the mission, the vision, the values, and the service standards, or as I like to say, the when, the why, the where, the who, and the how of our business. Those are based on principles that were around well before I was born, and I'm in my early 50s. So, and I know that we have a lot of great entrepreneurs in their 20s, 30s, and 40s out there that are struggling, that are trying to make it back from that pandemic era. And my suggestion to you is to look at those first two chapters. In fact, I'm more than happy to send those two chapters to you via PDF for free, because I want to help out there. So feel free to send me an email at kbator, BATOR, at btcinc.net. But I think that when we've gone through such a crisis as we did with COVID-19, that we need, as we're beginning to get back to growing our business and not being into crisis mode, we need to go back to the very core. We also need to, of course, embrace the brutal facts. That's a line from one of my favorite books that I didn't write. That was from Good to Great. But we need to embrace the brutal facts that things may very well be very different going forward. But that's all the more important to go back to the very foundation, which are those organizational drivers. Get your team together. Look at those service standards in particular and see if they are still valid. That's where we begin to get some buy-in, is having our team create or recreate service standards. But definitely look back at our proud history. Look back at that mission and remember the why we started this business, whether it was maybe a couple years ago or a couple of decades ago, maybe even a couple of centuries ago for some businesses. There was a distinct why as to why we started this business. Let's make sure that we re-understand and re-embrace the why we are doing this in the first place. And obviously the vision that you had in 2019 may very well may not be valid anymore. So take a look at that and see where we're headed now, and then also review those core values, the who we are at our very core. But as we get into some type of post-pandemic world, let's make sure that we are embracing, possibly even re-embracing those core pieces of who we are as a business so that we can continue and re-energize ourselves to move forward and brand our experience first for our employees and then brand the experience for our customers, clients, or members, whomever we serve. So thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today. If you would like those first two chapters in a PDF form, please feel free to reach out to me via email, kbator@btcinc.net. Looking forward to hearing from you and looking forward to coming up with even more episodes of Branding the Experience in the very near future.